All right, welcome everybody. We still have Mr. Tawanda Otto Chisiri with us, and today we want to talk about something that I believe is going to really change your world and perspective and improve how you approach entrepreneurship. And I think the question that we want to start off with you, Otto, welcome by the way.
Thank you, Bevan. It's a pleasure to be here once again.
I'm excited about what possibly we're going to get from you today. That's why I was just going to jump into the question even without greeting you. Apologies for that. Okay. But excited to have you with us. And I want to ask a question in line with lessons you have learned throughout this whole entrepreneurship journey that you've been having. A successful one that I should mention, because we've seen you try different ventures and we've seen you being persistent in some specific ventures. Took you a while, but at the end of it you saw yourself succeeding in those areas. So I've got a couple of industries that I know you've been in. You've been in the transport industry, you've been in the bakery industry, and I'm wondering to myself, what big lessons have you learned from those different industries that you've been in? And maybe let's start off, even before we talk of the lessons, let's start off looking at the value of learning. How much learning did you have to take yourself through in order for you to thrive in these different industries? Share with us maybe one particular business you opened and you didn't know much about that industry and you had to learn. What did it take for you to learn so much and grow in that industry?
Okay, thank you, Bevan. One thing I know I said earlier, entrepreneurship is about identifying opportunities. That's fine. That's the beginning. Entrepreneurship is about working hard. That's fine. That's the second level. But entrepreneurship is also about having skill in that particular area. So when you talk about the lessons that I've learned, I can give an example of a bakery. I did learn quite a lot. It was not a very successful venture at the end of the day, but what I can say is maybe I got a PhD out of it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but one thing that I first learned there, it's not just about passion. It's not just about opportunity. There was an opportunity there. I was passionate about it, but I didn't have the skill. So for the last few years, I had to learn. First, I was not a baker in the first instance. Secondly, I didn't know the industry. So I had to learn how to do everything. I had to learn the industry, and which I believe, once if I identified an opportunity, I think it's not good enough to just run by the opportunity. Make sure that you equip yourself,
right,
so that you can become the best in that particular area that you'd have chosen to go to. Otherwise, you can be working hard, but you need the skill. Then you transform your working hard into working smart,
right?
Because you have the skill. So even if you go to the transport industry, I went in there. I didn't know anything about transport industry. But one thing that we do about entrepreneurship is that sometimes the success of the venture is not in the profit. It's in the lessons that you take to the next venture.
Wow, say that again. That's really good.
The success of the venture is not in the profit, but it's in the lessons that you take in the next venture.
Wow.
Sometimes the venture is not successful because the partnership was not working. So in your next venture, you now know what to do in terms of partnership. Maybe it was not successful because you did not have the right people. So in the next venture, you now know that my business to be successful, I need first to put the right people in the business. So without those other ventures that were not successful and without drawing lessons from them, you can never be a successful entrepreneur. So it's all about learning every day. But what I tell people is that whatever route you choose to go to, make sure you get skilled.
Right.
Get skilled. The Bible says, have you seen a man who is skilled? He shall sit before the kings.
That's right.
He shall save kings. So your business can save kings if only you have the right skills.
Right.
So equip yourself. That's what I can say.
That's really good. That's really good. Equip yourself, prepare yourself, empower yourself. I bet someone might be thinking right now, Tawanda, where do I start from? because, maybe I've been to school, someone would say done and dusted. I've just finished off my degree program, or I've just finished off a certification, a diploma program I was doing. It had nothing to do with business, and maybe I don't even have money to pay for going back to school. So where do I start from in terms of learning?
Okay. Let me address those who say I've got a degree, I've got a diploma. Let me not say these are my words. These are the words of a great man. He was Professor Makuran. He said, having a degree is not a sign that you know, but it's a sign that you can learn.
Wow.
So the fact that they've got a diploma, we've got a degree, it's a proof that you can learn. So retrain,
Right.
learn, because you've already proved that you can
learn.
You can learn. So our first qualifications mostly are just there to prove that we can learn. Now you've proved you can learn, go out there, learn new skills. Because the world is changing, it's dynamic, everything is changing every day. Your skills, I mean, most of the teachers who are teaching us today as professors, whatever they're teaching us today, these things were not there in 1970 when they got their PhDs.
Right.
But they're teaching us.
Yeah.
Which means whatever they're teaching us, they learned it
Yeah.
after they got their PhD. So what will stop you from learning today after you got whatever qualification you got earlier?
That's really good. That's really good. And the last question, just to round this up, this has been a great session. Really learned a lot from what you're sharing. But the last question that I have is, what one big challenge have you faced in your different business endeavors, and what did you learn from that challenge? Any one challenge that can come up to your mind?
Okay, I think this, I wouldn't want to say one challenge. I'm seeing it across all my entrepreneurship ventures. Setting up systems is one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs, especially in Africa, meet. Because, you see, as an entrepreneur, our business normally runs because we are present. But your presence in your business as an entrepreneur is a limitation to your business. Because it means when you're not present, the business cannot run.
Right.
So you have to set up a system. Where there's a system, the business can run itself. The systems runs by themselves.
Right.
So I think that's one area we struggle with. I'm struggling with. Most entrepreneurs struggle with. And that's one area we need to skill ourselves so that we can learn how do we put systems so that our businesses can run in our presence, in our absence.
That's good.
And then we can watch the system. I mean, who goes into the bonnet when you're driving a car to check whether the piston is working and everything? Nobody does that. Why? Because the system runs on its own. You just put fuel, the car runs. The system runs. Look back when the old cars, how they used to drive them. You no longer do that anymore. The systems runs itself.
Yeah.
So, systems. If we just learn how systems runs. Right now you're breathing, you're digesting. You don't even know you're doing that. Because your body has got systems that are running independently. So, I think that's one thing I always tell entrepreneurs and tell myself. Let's learn to develop systems so that things can run. You know, a system is cycle.
Right.
It's doing what you did yesterday and doing it better. You create processes for your systems. Once we do that, I think for Africa, once we reach that stage, we are ready to take the world.
Right. Wow. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that wonderful point. And this really comes to take us to a point where we conclude our session for today. Really excited about what you've been teaching us, and I just pray and hope everybody who's listening is going to apply all these different lessons that we have been learning. Please make sure you implement these principles because they are going to take you far. Otto, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bevan. It has been always a pleasure to be here.